Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video I'm going to be covering Onslaught. Now he made his first appearance in X-Men issue number 15 in May of 1996. He stands 10 feet tall and weighs 900 pounds, having red eyes and no hair. Now it has to be noted that his height and weight are variable though. Now Onslaught is a psionic entity that is a mixture of Professor X and Magneto. And at his most basic form, he has the combined abilities of both Professor X and Magneto. But at his peak, he has the combined abilities of Professor X, Magneto, Franklin Richards, and X-Man Nate Gray. Onslaught is able to use telepathy, telekinesis, energy projection to sense other mutants' presence, manipulating magnetic fields, and affecting reality itself. Now, even in his first form, he may be considered even higher than an Omega level being. But when he's a combination of the four individuals I named earlier, he's considered well above that of an Omega level being. He shows the ability to lift well over 100 tons and possibly could have immeasurable strength, and he has incredible durability and stamina. Onslaught's psionic abilities clearly appear to be limitless, even being able to surpass individuals like Xavier and to beat individuals like Jean Grey. He's especially powerful in the astral plane as well, where he appeared to have godlike powers. He quite often exhibited total mental control over anyone or anything that he wanted to, ranging from altering one's perception to believe that there's someone or somewhere else, and manipulating matter down to its molecular levels. Now, after he fully evolved into his own, he developed a second form, less resembling Magneto and looking more like a cybernetic monster. In this form, he'd added the full potential of Franklin Richards and Nate Gray combined, at this point being shown to do things like creating a second sun to destroy the Earth. Onslaught was also shown to be able to boost his physical strength to the point that he was able to go blow for blow in a physical fight with the Hulk, even after the Hulk's mind had been wiped blank and his strength and rage set to incredible levels by Jean Grey. Now, as I stated earlier, the origin of Onslaught is that he was basically a sentient psionic entity that was created from the consciousness of Professor X and Magneto. During a battle between the X-Men and Magneto's acolytes, Magneto ripped the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton. When Professor X saw this, he became enraged and he used his vast telepathic powers to shut down Magneto's mind, which put him in a coma-like state. During this psionic contact, Magneto's anger, grief, and vengeance entered Xavier's consciousness, and that combined and commingled with every long-suppressed negative feeling that Xavier had had over the last 30 years. All of this together is what combined to become the being known as Onslaught. Now, the Onslaught consciousness remained suppressed for a while. Gradually, Xavier's frustrations began to grow. Mutant and human relations kept getting worse and worse. There was always a sense of anti-mutant hysteria going on, and dozens of deaths of mutants from the legacy virus ended up making him reach his breaking point. It was then that Onslaught awakened and began to manifest himself to others. He had learned how to do this by observing some of X-Man, Nate Gray's abilities, and he taught himself how to manifest his own body. Now, Onslaught had an appearance that was similar to Magneto but was larger. And on one occasion, this similarity was noticed by Wolverine when Onslaught claimed to be Charles Xavier. Wolverine had said that he looked more like Magneto with the helmet, build, and color scheme, and these statements made Onslaught extremely angry, and he released a huge blast of energy, destroying the room that they were all in. At this point, he kidnapped Jean Grey and took her to the astral plane. He was trying to convince her to join him in his cause, but without revealing that he was part of Xavier's consciousness. Onslaught then tries to show Jean that Xavier's repressed frustrations are caused by his love for her. She doesn't accept this and fights against him, and as a result, he attacks her and burns his name psionically on her forehead. But she's the only one that can see it. Onslaught then throws her out of the astral plane, and she and the X-Men later meet up with Juggernaut, who asked her to search through his mind telepathically to find out who Onslaught was. Together, they went into a telepathic room where he could sit down and talk. And Jean put her hands on Juggernaut's head and started to look for information, which led her to the discovery that Onslaught knew where they were. Juggernaut hopped up and went into the hallway and found himself in a maze of stairs and found only one door in which to escape. He burst through the door only to find a huge Onslaught on the other side. With ease, Onslaught ripped the gem of Throwback from Juggernaut's chest and kidnapped him. Later, when he was back in Xavier's body, Onslaught called the X-Men into his study, and he claimed that he wanted to destroy the human race and to leave mutants supreme. Jean, being troubled at what he was saying, walked around the room and saw the gem of Throwback sitting on the table, and inside of it was the Juggernaut. At this, Onslaught started to battle the X-Men and destroyed most of the school. It was then that Bishop, who had come from the future to warn the X-Men of a traitor within them, saw that this traitor was Xavier himself. Meanwhile, Wolverine and Elektra were able to figure out that Onslaught was in fact Xavier and Magneto. Onslaught went about with his plans to try to destroy all of humanity, and he intended to do this by absorbing the powers of Franklin Richards and Nate Gray to increase his own psionic powers. The battle ends up dragging in the Avengers, Fantastic Four, the Hulk, the X-Men, and Doctor Doom. During this engagement is when the Hulk pleads with Jean Grey to shut off the quote-unquote banner persona, which she does. This leaves Hulk as a completely rage-filled beast, which is totally off the hinges. As the Hulk attacks Onslaught, he is so powerful though that he cracks Onslaught's psychic armor with one powerful punch. So powerful that the Hulk and Bruce Banner separate into separate beings. With his armor gone, this leaves Onslaught as a being of pure, raw psionic energy. And he actually seems to be pleased that everything has gone the way he planned. Onslaught then created a second sun that would destroy the heroes and Manhattan. In desperation, Thor actually flew into the energy being, disrupting Onslaught's form. And realizing that Thor's efforts alone weren't enough to destroy him, the non-mutant members of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four entered inside of him. The X-Men didn't do this though, because it was theorized that if Onslaught, who was a being of mutant origin, came to possess a mutant host, he'd be even more unstoppable. All of these members diving inside of him weakened him and he dissolved, seemingly destroyed, along with the heroes who had thrown themselves into him. It was later revealed though that the heroes were reborn in a pocket universe that Franklin had created to protect them. The Avengers and Fantastic Four then returned to their homes months later, only having hazy memories of their encounter. Now, Onslaught is re-seen after the actions of Scarlet Witch. When she used her abilities to depower Earth's mutants, she unwittingly caused the powers of Xavier and Magneto to collide again, which reformed Onslaught's consciousness. Now, subsequent to this, there is an appearance of a version of Onslaught in Axis. Following the death of Charles Xavier during the AVX crisis, the Red Skull exhumes his corpse and grafts part of his brain onto his own, giving him Xavier's psychic abilities. This leads to the appearance of the being that's known as Red Onslaught. He had made his true real return during the events of Axis, where Magneto kills Red Skull in anger, and this unleashes Onslaught in his totality, who had apparently been dormant within Xavier's mind, and that caused the merging of the two villains. After showing his massive power and wreaking a lot of havoc, he ends up being defeated by the combined efforts of Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom, though the resulting inversion wave caused the heroes and villains to switch their moral alignments. Now, for his massive powers and abilities and his influence on the Marvel Universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Onslaught a rating of 10, which is a legendary rating. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to The New Sage.